It's Thursday, April 19th, 2011. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight we talk about asses and Mars.
And reactors.
Quaid.
Let's do this.
I swear this has nothing to do with all this sudden news about Arnold having a kid.
It's a nice coincidence.
Yeah, we just happened to, many people in our crew had never seen Total Recall. And it's
Why are
one
you
of those,
skipping to the second half of the show right away?
It's one of those movies that everyone's seen, so we made sure everyone saw it. But the reason I bring it up early is that I didn't care at all about this whole, Arnold had a kid and he was paying child support.
I don't care either.
So I happened to see a picture of the kid.
All right.
And you know what's great?
Is he gigantic?
The kid looks exactly like Arnold. Like, not even like a little like Arnold, but like it's Arnold. It's kind of crazy.
Baby Arnold?
Like, there is no doubt to the paternity of this child.
All right.
Yeah. So, in much more happy news, it was sunny today. Rainbow Dash finally did her job.
Well, not really.
It was sunny most of the day.
Have you looked out the window, like right this second?
Yeah, you know what? I had a nice lunch at Bryant Park. Sun was out. The white stones of the library were gleaming so hard I could hardly look at them.
The library I got to go to in about a day.
And because it was raining in the morning, hardly anyone was in the park, so it was just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And there were signs all over the park. You know what those signs said?
Don't go on the grass.
Smell the flowers, not the smoke. All smoking banned May 23rd.
Oh, yeah.
I've been looking forward.
Oh, we still got, it's not May 23rd yet, though.
Yeah, we got to wait a few more days.
It's not going to happen. That's post-apocalypse. We're never going to see
oh, right.
the non-smoking park. It's just not going to happen. I mean, and no one will smoke tobacco in the park. Instead, there'll be brimstone smell. I actually like the smell of brimstone.
So you'd better listen to Geek Nights pretty soon because this is pretty much it.
Yeah, if you wanted to listen to some old episodes, now's
your time.
Now's your chance. Maybe we should stop Geek Nights after the apocalypse. It's got to end sometime, right? We can't do it when we're 90 years old.
I think we could.
Especially since when I'm 90, you'll be dead.
Yeah,
I'm going to win the game of who lives the longest.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to win that game.
I'm winning that game.
I'll bet you all my money.
That is the game that we've been playing since we were born and will not end for hopefully a long time.
Well,
actually, it could end tomorrow.
Supposedly, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams played the same game.
They did. Who won that game? It was close.
Supposedly,
it was real close.
Jefferson died first, but Adam died saying Jefferson still lives.
Yeah, that's the story that I've heard as well. I don't know how true it is. We'd have to ask a historian. But you know what? That would be awesome if the same exact thing happened to us.
Well, I can say one thing.
I'm dying, and I'm like, that bastard Rim still lives. Meanwhile, Rim is dead.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Thomas Jefferson and John Adams were exactly as they were portrayed in 1776.
I think they disagreed more than we do, though.
Yeah.
We agree on a lot of fundamental things.
We fundamentally disagree on a lot of things, though.
But they fundamentally disagreed on everything. They were like opposite opinion on right down the whole chart.
They were both pretty keen on democracy.
They were pretty keen on alcohol.
Yeah.
And ladies. And wigs.
None so much as Benjamin Franklin.
Well, he was the master.
I mean, why else would you go to New Brunswick?
They were professionals. Ben Franklin was the master.
So you got any news? It's Thursday. It's the lounge.
It's whatever, your lounge. This isn't really. This normally would be a thing of the day, but I'll make it news anyway because it's not really in a thing of the day format. So, you remember the original Got Milk commercial? Aaron Burr. Remember where the guy?
Oh yeah.
Right, where the guy's in the restaurant or whatever it is.
Probably the only reason that anyone in America today knows who Alexander Hamilton or Aaron Burr are.
I knew who they were before the commercial.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else did.
Maybe, but anyway, my coworker actually never saw the commercial.
Really?
One interesting piece of information. Side note: this commercial was directed by Michael Bay, the explosion guy.
Wow.
Anyway,
I did not know that.
I didn't either. So here's the story. Some guy, his name is Left Ventricle, 2 years ago,
okay,
uploaded, his YouTube name is Left Ventricle.
Okay.
He uploaded...
Because I was wondering, is Ventricle the surname, like Left Ventricle?
Years ago, he uploaded, I think in 2008, that video of that commercial to YouTube. It got many views. Many, many views. However, this guy, Left Ventricle is his YouTube name, apparently has OCD. And, YouTube comments.
Did he take it down and put it back up?
No.
Does he respond to every comment?
No, he moderates all the comments.
Whoa.
And has been doing so for years.
Whoa. So when I made my YouTube account to put up my pony video and those Geeknights lectures, the account, by the way, is Geeknights Rim if you want Geeknights stuff.
Yeah.
I pretty much looked at all the stuff I could do with comments and decided that would never be worth my time.
Right. So what he does is like any comment that's just like misspelled or whatever, he actually deletes. So this guy's and he got pissed off because there were like certain trends in commenting. Like there were a whole bunch of people who would comment like "spit out the sandwich, dumbass," and he would delete all those. Or there'd be people who would point out facts like
wait, who? Commenting "spit out the sandwich" is like the old guy who yells at the screen in the movie theater, "The guy's coming! Get out of the way!"
Right, but basically there are people who are posting like facts, like, the actor, people would make a comment like, "Oh, the actor's name is Sean Whalen, the DJ on the phone's name is Rob Paulson, and the director is Michael Bay." And anyone who posts that information, he deletes that too because he already has it in the description. And like basically he moderates this thing every day. And
what do you think we'd have to pay him to moderate our forum?
He's a completely obsessive nut. And
yeah, I really want him to moderate our forum, and I would consider paying him.
But the point is that it's like he's been doing this on this YouTube video where he could just turn off comments.
I want to invite him into the ivory tower.
But the point, you just got to read the story of this guy because it's like an epic story of a guy who does not understand the internet and has fallen victim to it and his own
This is pretty epic.
Disorder.
I mean, this guy is basically... It's the equivalent of correcting all the graffiti that you see. Not removing the graffiti, but correcting
So
it.
the top two comments are, number 1, with 78 thumbs ups. Judging by the uploader comments and description, the person who uploaded this is a massive control freak asshole. Comment number 2, not 56 upvotes. Michael Bay, ? Then where the hell were all the explosions? It seems unlikely that left ventricle will ever find peace.
So... very briefly, I probably will regret this, but I do want to talk a little bit about President Barack Obama's recent speech about the Middle East because many U.S. presidents have given speeches and tried to do
all
things
of them,
that
every
basically,
single one,
not every single one.
For the past few decades.
Thomas Jefferson did not give any speeches about how we need to reconcile Israel and Palestine.
He cared about Tripoli, which is close.
Yeah, kind of. So Carter wanted to have peace in the Middle East, and pretty much every American president has wanted to have peace in the Middle East, and we do
because you can't just do nothing because stuff is happening and you're the president. So
it's not just that; it's because the United States plays a very vital role in Israel's foreign policy.
Of course, and you got to do something. And I bet every single one of those presidents is thinking, if I'm the guy who makes the big move and actually something good comes of it, then I will be remembered forever as so great. So they all try to do something.
Pretty much every time this has come up, the U.S. is usually really heavily sided with Israel, and for many reasons, but President Barack Obama might have grown another testicle because he basically said that Israel needs to pull back to the 1967 borders and give up the West Bank and East Jerusalem.
Oh, anti-Semite.
And I am so proud of him for going for this. And now it's funny because, we're doing some more hardcore panels at PAX this year. So I bought 3 books on game theory.
All right.
And there are 3 levels of difficulty. And so far, having read 1.5 of them, we got this shit.
Not difficult enough yet?
We know this shit.
The math is the hard part.
So I flipped through the 3rd book, and the first 2 pages, they're like, all right. The rest of the book is almost nothing but math. We'll see. I've been writing utility functions, and they seem to work.
All right.
Anyway, there's a concept that we already know, and we've already talked about this a lot on the show and in our lectures at conventions like PAX, but it comes up very directly in this situation, and it came up in the book I was just reading, so it was fresh in my mind. It's the idea that you can play an equilibrium strategy in a strategic game like foreign policy, which guarantees you a minimum return, but also limits your maximum return. Assuming everyone's rational, this is like your default strategy. It's the equivalent of playing conservatively in Hearts.
Yep.
If I play conservatively and the 3 people I'm playing with are dumbasses, I'm pretty much guaranteed to win. And if I play conservatively and everyone else is smart,
someone's going to shoot the moon eventually because they're either going to play conservatively or shoot the moon.
But on average, playing conservatively guarantees that you will not lose a game of Hearts because odds are at least one person's a dumbass or someone will make a mistake or the game will come down to just complete randomness.
Yep.
But The only way to break out of a perfect equilibrium where both sides are rational is to get into the poison cup second guessing game where you decide that you think the other person is going to be perfectly rational. Therefore, you act very irrationally and have a smaller chance of a bigger payout. That's how to, because it's more interesting to play a game like Hearts when you go for the fucking moon, because otherwise you're guaranteeing yourself second place. And who wants second place?
Yeah, you might risk falling way low, but you get a chance of shooting the moon and going directly to first. Do not pass go.
Now, the book gave an interesting example, because I used to always give an example of this situation in terms of paper, rock, scissors. The idea that if you're playing paper, rock, scissors against a little kid, you can pretty much assume they're going to throw scissors.
Really?
Because kids, try it sometime. Little kids feel like scissors is powerful, and they tend to throw scissors first, almost always. It's like
I remember doing that when I was a kid.
Yeah, and no kid, you don't know why you're a kid. You're not even like sentient yet.
Because it's made of metal. It's like, scissors cutting is cool.
It's the same way
Swords are cool.
It's the same way when you're a little kid. You got a coloring book, and you're just like, yeah, blue all over the fuck place.
So it's like paper, whatever. Paper's boring. Rocks, I have rocks in the backyard, but scissors, I'm not even allowed to play with dangerous scissors.
So,
that's a dangerous weapon.
As a kid, I recognized this, and I thought, all right, if the kid I'm gonna play paper, rock, scissors with is a dumbass, I know he's gonna throw scissors, so I'm gonna throw rock.
How about that Pete and Pete?
And then I would think about someone who's one degree removed from dumbassitude, like he's one level less of a dumbass. I assume that he knows the same thing I know, that the kids are gonna throw scissors. So he assumes that I think he's gonna throw scissors, so he throws rock to get rid of my scissors.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you can iterate through this repetitive Mod 3 math depending on what degree of intelligence you think the other person has relative to a 5-year-old.
Right, but the thing is, if they have, once they're at the 4th level of intelligence, they're going to pick randomly.
No, I don't think they will. I think that's a separate...
I'll pick randomly.
There's a modulus 3 that goes to infinity degrees of intelligence unless they're smart enough to realize that playing randomly is the only way to get out of that. But if you know they're going to play randomly, you know that your best strategy is to also play randomly. However, and you can't affect the outcome, so it doesn't really matter. But if you think the other person is going to play randomly and they don't, then everything moves around again.
Here, let's do one right now. Just one.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
I use scissors.
I use scissors too. So, the point of all this
we're both little kids
is that
who aren't any smart at all. That's what that means, right?
Or we're modulus 3'd all the way. So Barack Obama, I think, is bucking the trend of previous presidents who basically said, yeah, Israel, blah, 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 blah. And he's basically taking the more
he's trying
awesome,
to shoot
route.
the moon instead of not losing.
Because Israel's going to be like, no, fuck you. But you know what? Palestine's chill with this, and much of the rest of the world is chill with this, and it really shifts the onus of who's the bad guy, even though they're both good and bad guys, a little bit more toward Israel.
I still don't have confidence that they will ever
I do.
Stop.
I will predict right now that in our lifetime, you and me, before we both die, we will see a Palestinian state.
That doesn't mean that there will be peace and they'll stop fighting.
No, but
there could be a state, but there's still going to be war, and it's never going to end.
I think it'll actually reduce quite a bit, because having a Palestinian...
I'm not saying it won't reduce or wax and wane with the times, but it will never end.
That's stupid. That's pointless. That's like saying, yeah, there'll always be entropy.
Well, no, but
there will
always be war in that particular spot.
Scott,
always.
There will always be dumbasses. You can't eliminate the dumbass.
I say there will never be peace between Israel and Palestine and
I
its
think there will be
neighbors.
relative peace. I think a Palestinian state, 2 or 3 generations from the point where that happens, just by pulling the rug out from under the semi-legitimacy of the groups that actually try to get people to be suicide bombers, that rile the people up, if that like core legitimacy of, yes, we need our own state is gone, they can really only tap the craziest people. And a few generations out, I think the rate of violence will go the same route that the rate of violence in North Ireland did.
It's incredibly optimistic.
Because look, I know, but again, 50 years, a lot can happen. And I
It's
praise
been
Barack
50
Obama
years.
for shooting the motherfucking moon.
He didn't shoot the moon yet. He's trying to shoot the moon, which is cool.
I think by saying this is his policy, he shot the moon.
You don't know. You actually have to shoot the moon. I could try to shoot the moon all I want, but as soon as you take the queen, that's it.
Well, the thing is, there's nothing the U.S. can do other than, I guess we could cut all our aid to Israel. We could force them to pull back to those borders.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it's a bad move. It's actually,
But that's not shooting the moon. That's That's going all in Euchre.
I'm not saying it's a bad move. I have very little optimism.
That's going alone in Euchre. He's not going alone. He's just shooting the moon.
I don't think he's actually gonna. He's gonna take a heart.
You're always
gonna take a heart. He's gonna.
You know what? I'm gonna make a crazy prediction.
All right.
I think there will be a pseudo-Palestinian state with some form of legitimized self-rule within Barack Obama's second term.
If he has a second term.
I guarantee.
So you're also predicting
Scott,
a second term.
I'll bet you $500 he gets a second term.
I'm pretty sure there'll be a second term also, but
so you're not going to bet against me.
I'm 99%
sure.
No,
Scott, you're wrong. He's not going to have a second term.
Oh, really?
Because the Rapture's this fucking weekend.
That's right. Anyway.
So I have one other thing I want to talk about because this actually kind of annoyed me. It's just a news that I randomly stumbled upon. United Airlines apologized.
To who? A fat person?
To everybody.
Everybody?
Because they happened to have two flights, Flight 175 and Flight 93 recently.
Okay.
Those happen to be the flight numbers of the flights that went down in the 9/11 attacks.
Okay, so?
So apparently enough people recognized that and were pissed off about it and had thought that the airline had retired the numbers because apparently terrorist attacks are the same as hockey where you retire the jersey.
Uh-huh.
So they apologized and they have now retired those two numbers.
Okay.
And I just find that incredibly stupid.
I agree that it is incredibly stupid. It's fucking numbers.
I didn't forget that the September 11th attacks happened on September 11th. But I had already forgotten the flight numbers.
And who cares? It's just a fucking number.
The thing is, I don't even know who cares. It didn't state any particular person was angry. The news article just said, we apologize.
It was probably the press saw it, and the press wanted to make a story. A lot of these things are like that, where...
Manufacture some outrage. Like that Botox story recently. There was a story about a woman who injected Botox in her little daughter's face.
Was that true?
No.
Well...
But it generated so much traffic... There's a great industry in manufacturing outrage.
Yeah.
I feel like we can export it.
To where are we going to export it to? Every place already has outrage.
Scandinavia doesn't have nearly enough.
They got plenty of outrage.
I don't think they have. So how many fat, indignant, slow people are there in Scandinavia?
They've got other kinds of outrage.
They do, but it's so
It's cold.
Yeah.
That's enough.
That's not outrage, though.
That's outrage.
That's something
it's
different.
Just you're so cold, you don't look outraged. You're just shivering.
Yeah, but you're not going to make it
on
that
the
far.
inside, the outrage is like 10x. And the beer is also 10x.
So things of the day. This is just a kid's toy. All it can say is numbers, but in the fashion of everyone awesome, someone discovered that you can fairly trivially make it say motherfucker, fuck, and fuck you.
I wonder if it was designed into the toy or if it was just an accident.
I'm pretty sure
I'm 50-50.
It's just an accident.
Oh.
But I enjoy any time something like this happens. Like the guy who realized that Cookie Monster can also sing Rammstein.
Well, the best is when you get like an 8-year-old who sort of knows the bad words and then he discovers it in like nursery school or something in the playroom, and that is where the awesomeness happens.
I still
then it's
remember,
like, do you take away the toy? I mean, it's just an innocent toy. You didn't know.
When I was a little kid, I was like 6 and my brother was like 3.5. Maybe he was 4, and he was in the kitchen. You know how kids just like do stuff? He was just in the kitchen, like on a stool in the kitchen sink, just like doing stuff in the kitchen sink. Like he'd filled it with water and he was doing something, whatever kids do. And he dropped something. And just from the other room, we hear this 4-year-old boy just yell, "Son of a bitch!" And it was one of the funniest things I'd ever experienced.
That's good. I like that.
So, motherfucker, what do you got?
So, you know, in F1, the steering wheels are totally insane.
Yeah.
They got a billion knobblies on them, right? Well, in this video, Nico Rosberg, who is sort of like... I don't think he's actually won anything, any championships, at least not that I remember. Maybe I'm wrong. But I remember that when he was brand new to F1, they were all talking about like, oh, how great he was, and like, you know, the testing and such. Like he had passed the test like better than any other rookie ever or something like that. But anyway, he in this video he describes what everything on his steering wheel does, except there might be something hidden on the back because he doesn't show you the back of the steering wheel, so there might be something secret back there. But at least on the front, he tells you what every one of those knobs does, and it's
so clearly now.
It's pretty interesting.
If I want to, I am fully aware of what I need to do to drive an F1 car.
Well,
right?
you don't know how to work the pedals.
gas and brake and clutch.
The clutch is, first of all, the clutch is on the steering wheel.
All right.
And second of all, there's gas, brake, and then there's a bunch of other levers to adjust other things that were in the car.
So according to Wikipedia, the wheels cost about 25,000 pounds and are made of carbon fiber.
Yep. That's
and
true.
it doesn't say anything about the back or a secret.
Yeah, but I guess, they told him not to show anyone the back.
So I wonder
there must be something back there.
Yeah, I mean, you think it's the like the wiring harness?
I think it is because you can see the whole back of the steering wheel on television whenever they're showing the front view of the driver's helmet. But what you can't see is the part of the steering wheel that actually connects to the steering column. That must be where the secret magic is.
I don't think it's that. I think either he's got another button, or
he could have another button and they're hiding their cheating.
Or I think there's some sort of maybe the design of the paddle or something, like on the back. There's some design in the way he's got the grips that they think is great and they don't want anyone to see it.
That's possible.
Or maybe he's just fucking with us.
No, because I'm pretty. He seemed like he wanted to show it to you, but he was told not to.
Yeah, maybe he was told not to just because they're like, hey, let's pretend there's something on the back.
Well, they're always so secret in the F1.
Yeah.
I guess the only reason they even showed the front is because it's probably public knowledge anyway, and it gets some attention, and you can see the whole front no matter where you look.
I just really look
You can't hide the front of things. You can hide the back.
To the day when we finally get F-Zero.
I know. Oh, my God. If there's ever F-Zero, I'm signing up.
You're signing up?
Yep.
You think you'll be able to hack it?
Have you seen the drivers in F-Zero?
Have you seen
Big
Redline?
fat guy.
Actually, we need to watch Redline.
We do. We need to watch it real bad.
I'll get it.
Get it.
And briefly in the meta moment, this weekend is bar camp.
Yep. It's Saturday and Sunday. I think the Saturday tickets are sort of sold out-ish. They're free. You can go sign up again on the waiting list. Maybe you'll get in. I don't know. But Sunday you can register for.
Sunday.
It's bar
Sunday.
camp. It's bar camp NYC 6. It's free. It's at the Microsoft office. You can go to the website and find all about it. What else? Kineticon is in some months,
upcoming,
right?
Yeah, panels and stuff will be there. We may be at Otakon. It really depends on whether or not they accept our panels, but if they accept them, we'll be there. If we're not there, it means they didn't want us to do panels despite us doing almost a decade worth of panels.
Yep.
All on them.
Nerd
PAX,
NYC Recess is June 18th.
Yep, PAX and PAX Dev will be at both of those most likely.
Yep.
And the book club book is still Isaac Asimov's Foundation.
Also, you should actually go to frontrowcrew.com. A lot of people, they just subscribe to us in iTunes, or maybe they go directly to the forum, and they don't go to frontrowcrew.com, which is where you can find every episode of the show, among other things. And I'm going to be adding more things there after this weekend when my time becomes more freer.
Yep,
After
our forum's rocking.
Many things become finished this weekend.
There's a feed for like the things of the day. If you want to, you just want to get the feed of the things of the day, the links to all this stuff.
There's all kinds of stuff.
And it's not integrated with the site yet, but like I said earlier, my YouTube account, Geeknights Rim, has one of our panels that included 3 panels from PAX East.
Yep.
And a My Little Pony video that I made that's very popular.
There's also a Geeknights YouTube account and my YouTube account, which is APRECHE.
Yeah. And there will be something special appearing in my Geeknights Rim YouTube account in the next week or so.
I'm going to be making a video pretty soon of what happens when you put a helicopter in an elevator.
I will be having a video about my year with the dragon. But that is not the secret video. A few listeners know what that is, but
Can I have a little bit, please?
something special is coming.
All right.
And I hope you'll like it.
Okay. You're really going to like it.
Yeah. Get your ass to Mars.
To Maaahs.
Mars.
Where the
your
reactor
ass.
is.
Get it. Quaid.
Yeah. So like we said, we discovered recently that some of the people in our crew had not seen the movie Total Recall, a very important science fiction action film from the 90s. So we got it on DVD real cheap at the Book Off, and we finally got around to watching it with those people, and now they have seen it. But they are not here to comment on it. Instead, we are here to comment on it, people who have seen it in our youth.
Yep.
And
now,
then again.
I'd seen Total Recall probably in 1990.
I saw it in the mid-ish 90s, and I saw it again in the late 90s,
I don't
probably
think I
on
went
television.
To the theater. I think we rented it.
I don't think I
from-
saw it on the theater.
I'm pretty sure we rented it from a video store.
I'm pretty sure I saw it on a VHS and also on TV with commercials, and then I'm pretty sure I also saw it perhaps sometime at RIT or maybe during a summer. I don't remember.
It was weird. It was one of those movies that when I was a kid, like I just assumed everyone had seen it. Kind of like, I don't know, Terminator 2.
Well, I knew there were some kids who didn't see it because, it is pretty gory and also has boobies in it. So there were some kids who were not permitted to see it.
Yeah, I was going to R-rated
at the
movies
time it came out.
when I was a little kid. I mean, I saw RoboCop like right away.
Yeah. Anyway.
But I didn't actually, I remembered the plot.
I remembered the plot. I remembered some scenes.
I remembered all the important scenes, because the important scenes in Total Recall are pretty much when he rips that Johnny Cab apart.
Yeah.
When he pulls the thing out of his nose.
I actually forgot about the Johnny Cab until I saw it. Then I remembered the Johnny Cab.
When he pulls the thing out of his nose.
I remember pulling the thing out of the nose.
The three-breasted hooker.
Three-breasted, you can't forget that one.
I forgot the midget hooker.
I remember the ending. I remembered all the parts where, he went into the memory machine. And I remembered some of the action scenes.
Get your ass to Mars.
I actually forgot about the guy in the stomach.
What, really?
Until I saw him. Then I was like,
How
oh,
could
right.
you have forgotten Kuatu?
Then I actually saw Kuatu. I was like, oh, right, Kuatu, right.
And I also remembered...
I remember that the guy was a traitor.
That none of it actually happened, and it was just a dream implanted into his brain.
Well, it's sort of like Inception, right? You could go either way.
Yeah, you could, but the evidence is overwhelming. By the way, spoilers. If you haven't seen Total Recall, what the
fuck?
So...
This is not for people who haven't seen Total Recall, by the way.
Here's my primary evidence, and I don't think I need any other evidence, and I can dismiss the few points of evidence against me by saying that the movie was somewhat poorly constructed.
All right, I'll play your game.
All right. The only evidence you need is that when he goes in to get his, his memory, he's going to buy that trip to maaahs and put his ass there. As the tech is taking the little CD-looking thing to load up the program, he holds the case and he looks at it, and he very quietly in the background says, Blue Skies on Mars. That's a new one.
That's true.
I think that clinches it.
All right, so I got 2 points.
All right.
Number one, right? If the whole movie was from the time when he first goes into the machine at Recall to the very end of the movie if that is the memory that is implanted, that whole thing, right? Then... why would they implant a memory in which he does not end up where he started? Otherwise, it would be inconsistent with,
movie. They just didn't show you the end. I mean, it's basically Brazil without that little clip at the end where they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, in case you didn't get it.
But, I mean, if they're selling you vacations, the vacations would have to end with you coming back home.
Yeah, they didn't show that in the movie.
So somehow you're saying after that, the memory continues, and somehow he ends up back home with the wife that he killed?
Yeah. He remembers all this.
He remembers killing his wife as part of his vacation. What kind of who sells a vacation like that?
Clearly this company has some Cave Johnson in it. I mean, the guy who was selling him that memory was pretty Cave Johnson.
It is possible that they sold him a memory that would totally fuck up his life.
It's also possible that they sell the memory, but maybe the way it works is they play it out in his head like a dream with stimuli to imprint it, but his conscious brain is reacting.
Maybe, but anyway,
because he acted like himself, just with superpowers.
That's true. So here's another.
So he must just really hate his wife.
Maybe. So there's the scene where the wife and the psychologist show up, and they tell him that he's, inside of Recall. Right?
That's just a really clever scene that they put in the scenario.
Or was it true? And actually, the reason that the vacation doesn't match up and bring him back home at the end is because he really was being lobotomized, and that's the real ending. So it was all Recall. So you're right, but it wasn't. That wasn't the dream they intended. You
know what?
He actually got lobotomized.
I'm going to play some
like
game
they
theory
said,
here.
and that was real.
I accept your point as an alternate answer because it still proves me right. My core point was not that it was only that the whole thing was a dream. My main argument against is that they show you a couple of scenes where Quaid's not there to see anything. But
there are many scenes where Quaid is not present.
But at the same time, they don't show Quaid knowing about that information, and maybe he just remembers it. Maybe that's just, Verhoeven not being the best director in the world at the time.
Yeah, like the Goldfish. Quaid is never in that office, right? As far as I can remember.
So, yeah, the other thing is it went too perfectly.
Of course.
I mean, he's basically an invincible superhero.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of, was the movie good? I think it's pretty good. It's not Terminator 2, but it's like one step under.
Well, here's why it's not Terminator 2, I think.
Hold up pretty well.
One, the action scenes, because this is a 90s movie, but it's the beginning. It's 1990. The action scenes reek of 80s.
Well, they do. The action scenes do reek of 80s, but
they're cliched. It's Arnold with a machine gun going, with a million bullets.
They're really not so bad. It's not like they're painful to watch.
No.
Right? But the problem is that since then, we've had such advances in action scene choreography. Now I know The Matrix didn't cause those advances, and it was simply stealing from Asian cinema.
Forgotten masters.
But The Matrix did introduce those advanced fight choreography techniques to the Western audience, and because of that, we have the Western audiences in general have now gotten used to much higher expectations of what kind of things you're going to see in action scenes, and that causes Total Recall to be dated in that respect. But really, it's not like I'm watching the action scenes going, oh, it's so bad, like when you look at the CG in Tron.
Nah,
right? It's not like that. It's just like
no,
standing there with the
stand
machine
out.
going digga 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 digga.
And also, it is
plus
clearly,
some of the action scenes with like the drill are pretty cool.
Yeah, it is clearly also more 80s than 90s in that the technology of the future apparently is just 80s technology, but more of it. I mean,
well, that's something that gets right. So in the beginning of the movie, when he's in the apartment with the wife, they got this incredible flat screen TV. It's like part of the wall, and it can actually be 3 panels.
How do you know it's not just a giant CRT
but
in
then
the wall?
The rest of the movie is all CRTs.
But this is their vision of the future. It's like 80s culture extended into the future. TVs fucking everywhere, and they suck.
Yeah.
And no one has any way to communicate except payphones, but the payphones have TVs in them.
I know, right?
And it just, everything really looks like the 80s. Like, it's not like Ferris Bueller, which is set in the 80s. It's set in the future, but it looks like the 80s.
This is the problem. If you make anything that's set in the past, you can't become dated. It's guaranteed to be timeless. But if you make anything ever that's set in the future, right, it could, unless it's like Star Wars, right? Star Wars pulls the ultimate trick. Long time ago, galaxy far, far away. A lot of people don't actually think and oh shit, long time ago, Star Wars is in the past? What? And that's how, right? And by making it a totally different time and a totally different place, they can do whatever the hell they want. But because Total Recall is Earth, this Earth in the future, pretty much you're going to be dated at some point, no matter what year you set it at. I mean, how many animes are set in 20XDX? And shit, oh my god, it's actually now 20XDX. We fucked up.
Well, I mean, October in 1997.
Crystallis?
That was the end day.
No, not the Saturday.
I was at a football game, I remember.
But this Saturday isn't the end day? 97's the end day?
That was a better end day. It was all dragons and Lapta.
You can't make any work of art, you can't tell any story about the future of Earth without being dated, unless it's near future. It's not possible because you can't get it exactly right.
But at the same time, you can do it well.
You can look at Minority Report, which actually people, is the movie that people are always like, oh yeah, it gets, it's like Minority Report, right?
Well, here's one way to look at it. Look at a movie like Ferris Bueller, where it's set in the 80s and it works. Look at a movie like Terminator 2, where while it's got a lot of futuristic stuff, it uses like good techniques from its era, so that it doesn't use crappy 90s soundtrack.
Well, I think what Terminator 2's advantage, right, is that the future of Terminator 2 is a post-apocalyptic fantasy future.
Yep.
Even though it's sci-fi because it's robots and machines
but hear
and
me
whatever.
Out. Compare other movies from the era of Terminator 2. A lot of them have crappy, late 80s, early 90s synth soundtracks.
That's true.
Or pop songs that really stand out.
Oh,
that's
80s. Yeah, it's the worst you can do that.
But Terminator 2
as the orchestral soundtrack
has one of the better soundtracks in the history of movies.
That's true.
I mean, how many people just
Yep. That's why I'm a big fan of pretty much everything. Either using, I really don't like it when people use, like actual songs like from radio or popular bands.
Now here's my third thing. Remember, I watched the Lost Boys recently because Emily had never seen it. It's a good movie, great vampire movie from the 80s, 90s. Like, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, all those guys.
Yep.
And it is set in that time, and it plays all songs from that time, like saxophone rock.
Well,
and all that stuff.
I was about to say, if you're making a Vietnam movie, right, you always got to use those same songs, right? Like "Give Me Shelter" by the Stones, and all these same songs you got to do if you're doing a Vietnam movie, right?
But you don't do that if you're just if it happens to be that year and you're making a movie that's set at some generic time.
Yeah, you can't. I'm talking about when somebody makes a movie, and because the movie happened to be made in 2006, they use in the movie the soundtrack is the hit songs of 2006. That is the problem, is when you just use the hit songs of the day the movie was released as promotional things, as opposed to picking songs that fit the movie. And I still prefer original score, orchestral if possible, right? Or musical like Ponies or Broadway or show tunes, to using hit songs, because then the reason I prefer that is because most of the great movies do that. It's just like there's a correlation there. And two, it makes more music. You're making new music. You're creating more art, as opposed to, you're actually making less art.
What about a movie that's like a Macross kind of thing, where it makes a new hit song that happens to also be a hit song?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Macross, you did both orchestral sort of rock and show tunes for itself that were original and new. They created new music for the new show, as opposed to, it's like there's more art created in the world if you decide to spend money to record new music. If you just use existing music, you're actually making less stuff. That's the main thing.
So here's something weird I noticed that I never noticed before. Benny, the cab driver, the asshole, also a mutant.
Yep.
They foreshadowed the fact that he was going to die by a drill and pilot a drill like crazily. Every time you see him, like he's driving or something, there are 3 scenes in the movie well before he drives the drill and tries to kill them and then gets drilled, where you see him and then you immediately see one of those drills.
Yep.
They do that 3 times, like they're being like, hey, he's going to get drilled. And apparently the movie was originally rated X.
Yep.
They had to cut several ultra-violent sections of existing scenes to get the movie to R. One of them was...
The thing is, if that movie... Here's the thing. If they had the original cut of the movie, the one that was originally rated X, if that came out today, it would not be rated X.
Nope.
And the same thing with Hellraiser, right? These were not porn... Oh, nowadays, you have to be a hardcore porn to be rated X. Or I guess maybe something like Ichi the Killer might be, if they bothered to rate it. But, I mean... the original cut of Total Recall would no way be rated X today.
I think
it would be
Ichi
rated
the Killer,
R.
really, X doesn't do it. It'd have to be MD.
It had to be MD. Most dangerous.
But apparently, they show you what happened to Benny instead of just kind of implying what happened to Benny.
Yeah.
And they also, the scene where I love when Arnold is in a movie, and in the end... the thing that saves him is the fact that he's just Arnold.
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, like, how's he going to get out of this? He just rips the things off and stabs the one scientist in the neck.
That's what you see in an Arnold movie.
Apparently, they cut out a lot of him stabbing other scientists in that scene.
It's actually, surprising, though. You go to look at Arnold's movies, Terminator 2, Total Recall, Predator.
Running Man.
Predator and Running Man, and, these kinds of movies. And it's like, it's kind of surprising how a lot of the other action movie stars...
Stallone.
Yeah, a lot of them pretty much
Tom Selleck
just did boring action, but Arnold did a lot. I mean, Arnold did his share of boring action. I mean, he's got bad movies, Eraser crap, right? But
I liked Last Action Hero though.
It's okay, but
yeah, it's okay.
The point is that he did a lot of movies that actually had a plot that was a pretty good sci-fi plot.
Yeah, I mean, Total Recall is based somewhat loosely on a Philip K. Dick story, and it's a pretty good sci-fi. Just they threw in a lot of Arnold.
Yeah, of course. It's but it's a 2-for-1 deal.
Also, because I haven't seen an Arnold movie in a while, motherfucker makes some great faces sometimes.
Well, it's not like
he's not playing a character. He's playing Arnold playing a character.
Right, but it's everyone gets a start for a reason, right? Even people you might, you look at famous people, right? And it's like, how did, this person isn't talented or they suck, I hate them. But the fact is they got to start somewhere, right? They didn't start out famous. They had some sort of talent or something that got them off on the right foot somewhere. It might have just been something shallow like good looks, or in Arnold's case, he was like, ultra muscly because he was a bodybuilder or whatever, but he had to have some acting skills, in order to get into movies. They just wouldn't have, if he didn't sell tickets and wasn't able to act, directors wouldn't want him. He had something going on.
Whoa, so supposedly in the early, like when they were trying to get this movie made, Philip K. Dick was still alive.
Yeah.
And they thought about getting Richard Dreyfuss or Patrick Swayze to play Quaid.
Okay.
That would have been a very different movie.
Totally different movie. Not even close to the same movie.
You know what, though? I think Stallone could have maybe pulled it off, but it would have been different. Tom Selleck would have pulled it off just fine.
I think Bruce Willis would have done it just fine.
Bruce Willis might have made this one of the best movies ever.
Because he's pretty much the other guy who does action movies that are also have some intelligent sci-fi thing. You know, or
and he also...
Not necessarily sci-fi.
He also, in a lot of his action movies, he's Bruce Willis.
That's right.
And I love Bruce Willis. And I love Arnold.
Yeah.
Not Arnold, but Arnold.
Anyway, in related news, I also wanted to watch this movie because there's actually a Total Recall comic book coming out.
Whoa!
I ordered the first issue just because curious. I don't know if it's going to be good. I actually doubt it will be good. But I actually saw the cover to the second issue because they sent me the evil catalog I hate for free. And the second issue has aliens on the cover. So I guess... we're gonna find out, right? I guess if you're right or not, because this comic is canon and it picks up where the movie left off.
Whoa! Well, apparently there's a script for Total Recall 2 that was never made.
There's a script for everything.
No, so you know what it's based on? Minority Report.
Oh,
and it picks up right after where Quaid is still Quaid.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's another thing, right? Is if you go with my theory that he was really lobotomized, then that means he's probably a vegetable, but he's probably dreaming this vacation until the day his vegetable body dies. So it could just be that, any continuation you come up with is all in his brain and is part of his infinite vacation until his body runs out.
You know, though, I would say...
And since he's got a pretty muscly body, it's going to be a while.
If you've never seen Total Recall...
Why did you listen this far?
I highly recommend seeing it because it is a very enjoyable movie.
It's definitely a movie.
It's iconic of 90s action movies. Like, basically, until The Matrix, all good action movies were kind of like this.
Yeah. I would definitely put
things like The Rock.
Yeah, I put Matrix above Terminator 2 just because, and I put Total Recall one step lower than that.
Well, because Terminator 2 did the same thing The Matrix did. Like, action movies were a certain way. Terminator 1 was just another action movie. Terminator 2 happened, and the entire world went, whoa, and then movies changed forever.
We need something else.
Terminator 2 did that. The Matrix did that. Star Wars did that.
We need something to break us out. Did you know that there are more movie sequels this summer than ever in the history of ever?
So randomly,
there are 27 sequels coming out this year.
I had to clean up the living room.
We need something like Star Wars, Terminator 2, or The Matrix to break something a blockbuster. I mean, we can make all the great art films we want. There are plenty of them. But they're not going to change Hollywood. We need something big like Matrix, Star Wars, Terminator 2 to change
I have watched
Hollywood. It has to be a blockbuster.
A few days ago while I was cleaning up
the Austin Powers one?
Yeah.
Not as funny as the first one.
You know what? Not even funny at all.
Yeah.
That was a terrible movie. I didn't even finish it.
I still like the first one.
I like the first one,
and
too.
The second one, the girl is way hot, like the hottest, but...
the third one has the hottest girl, but the movie
I think
the
second one has the hottest girl,
Come on, foxy 70s. Oh, yeah.
No, second one. And the first, not that the girl in the first movie isn't incredibly hot either. It's just the second movie one is tiny bit hotter.
But there's no Anna Puma.
No, there isn't. We're getting off topic.
Yeah, I think we're running out of steam here. I mean, I think that Total Recall is a fine movie, and the sci-fi angle is good. But if you want an Arnold action movie, I think Running Man is a better Arnold movie.
I would put if I had to rank Arnold.
It's not a better movie. It's a better Arnold movie.
I think Predator is better.
Oh, Predator is better as well. I haven't seen Predator since I was a little kid.
Really?
I haven't seen it again.
I mean, when I had this in high school, I took a sci-fi class, but it ended up being filled with like a bunch of these sort of funny frat drunky guys, and all they wanted to do was watch Predator. So every day in class, they'd be like, "The Predator," and then on the last day of class, the teacher was cool, and we watched Predator.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geek Nights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
Get to the chopper. Get your ass to the chopper.